If you like it, subscribe. The surge in the population of children infected with the Delta is of great concern to those in the medical field who say they've never seen anything like it. They, in fact, are urging the unvaccinated to get vaccinated, advising of its continual spread if they neglect to do so. But how can a vaccine which produced the Delta cure the Delta? Because the Delta was born out of vaccinated persons once the immunization protection expired, which for Pfizer is 6 months. Therefore, you have fully vaccinated people infected with COVID, which now mutates into what is being called the Delta. So, how can the vaccine that produced the Delta cure the Delta? And why continue blaming the surge in the Delta virus, particularly among children, on those refusing the vaccination? Shouldn't you be looking at the parents who ran to take the vaccination because you told them it was safe? Did you tell them, as you were required to do by law, that the vaccine poses a risk of acquiring ADE, which is the acronym for antibody dependent enhancement? Or did you give them the drug without telling or warning them? ADE is what happens after the window of immunization has expired, after which you can be infected with COVID despite being fully vaccinated. And if you are infected with COVID, the virus mutates into what is now being called the Delta. So why don't we look at the parents of these children who have been fully vaccinated if we really want to understand the surge in the Delta? And why are we bantering back and forth about the booster that's needed? Because those fully vaccinated and now infected have no protection. Why are we hiding the fact that the unvaccinated have more natural protection than the fully vaccinated? Because the vaccination leaves them ADE and in need of a booster, because their own immune system is not equipped to deal with this Delta. If you're going to insist people be vaccinated, you have a responsibility to warn them about the risk of acquiring ADE and what that means once the window of immunization has expired. What you've unleashed upon people through use of the vaccination that has produced the mutated form of this virus cannot be blamed upon the unvaccinated. They didn't take your vaccine and bear no responsibility whatsoever concerning the Delta. They can be infected just like anybody else, but the causes and producers, they are not. So quit with the rhetoric and own up to your own responsibility concerning it, because you knew this could happen. And it's stated in black and white in the National Library of Medicine, dated December of 2020. Yet you went ahead and unleashed on the people with nothing more than a 3-month trial. In the days ahead, you'll be hearing more about this vaccine, not from me, but from those who are going to call a halt to what is taking place while people's lives are being destroyed. Because the fact is, you knew the risk involved with these vaccines. The science is there, and you ignored it. And despite seeing the evidence that the science is correct and ADE is occurring, you are still insisting that people take these vaccinations while remaining silent about the indications concerning its effects. And all while blocking and preventing individual accounts from being told of people who are living with conditions incurred by this vaccine. I urge people everywhere to take these viruses seriously, to wear masks, and do everything humanly possible to protect themselves and others. I also want this government to take this virus seriously and to cease blaming the unvaccinated while you withhold the truth from those you have vaccinated. No one should be compelled or forced to participate in experimental science without legally required notification that they are doing so. How dare you blame it on the unvaccinated when you've ignored the science concerning it, while pretending a failure to heed exacerbates the conditions now being exhibited. A virus doesn't mutate on its own. It mutates when coming in contact with another virus, which would be COVID, undefeated in the bodies of fully vaccinated persons, who are now dependent on other antibodies to fight because their own no longer do, which is why they're in need of a booster. Check the science.